November 1982. Chicago, Illinois. A young woman walks home after work, tired, unaware she's being followed. A red van slows beside her. A scream pierces the night. Then, silence. She's dragged into a nightmare. Bound. Tortured. Her heart is cut from her chest. Not out of rage, but ritual. The city panics. Women vanish. A group of men call themselves chosen by the devil. Who were they? Why did no one stop them sooner? This is not a movie. It happened. Subscribe now to Unbelievable True Story. Watch to the end, because what comes next is worse than fiction. November 15, 1982, Chicago, Illinois. It was cold that morning. The sky above Chicago hung heavy with gray clouds, and the sidewalks shimmered with thin ice. People rushed to work, wrapped tight in coats, their breaths curling like smoke in the air. No one noticed the red van creeping through the neighborhood. Lori Borowski, just 21 years old, stood outside the small realtor's office where she worked. She had only just arrived to open up. She held keys in one hand and her purse in the other. She didn't know that someone was watching her. The red van pulled up. A door slammed. A shadow moved fast. There was a muffled scream. And then silence. By the time her co-workers arrived, Lorraine was gone. Her keys lay scattered on the ground. Her shoes sat alone on the sidewalk. And the door to the office was still locked. The police came quickly. They took photos. Asked questions. But there were no cameras. No witnesses. No blood. Just silence. Lorraine's parents reported her missing immediately. Flyers went up. Her mother, a quiet woman with kind eyes, begged for help on the news. She whispered, she always came home. Always. But days passed. Then weeks. On May 15th, her body was found. Buried in a shallow grave behind a motel. Her clothes were torn. Her chest was mutilated. Her left breast had been removed. Police at the scene said it looked ritualistic. Reporters called it a satanic killing. The city trembled. Who would do this? Police were stumped. Lorraine wasn't in any danger. No angry boyfriend. No criminal history. She was kind, quiet, and loved by everyone. The brutality didn't match the victim. This wasn't a robbery. This wasn't random. It was something darker. That same week, another woman vanished, a prostitute named Sandra Delaware. 2 days later, she was found stabbed, strangled, and dumped near the river. Another breast removed. Another strange scene. This couldn't be a coincidence. The red van. One witness, a gas station worker, remembered something. A red Dodge van. Tinted windows. No license plates. It had pulled in late at night. 4 men inside. One of them stared at her too long. She remembered his eyes, empty, glassy, like he wasn't all there. She wrote it down. Told the cops. But the van disappeared. Until it came back. Her name was Beverly Washington. She was 20. A sex worker, working the streets to survive. On December 6th, she got into a red van. She remembers the man inside, calm, polite, soft voice. He offered her money. She agreed. Then the back doors slammed. Something sharp jabbed into her arm. She blacked out. When she woke up, she was on the side of the road. Naked. Bleeding. Weak. She had been raped. Tortured. Her left breast was sliced off. But she was alive. Barely. Beverly couldn't remember everything. But she gave police one name. Robin. He had said it during the ride. Quietly. Like it slipped out. Police started digging. And they found someone. Robin Gecht. A married man. Father of 3. Construction worker. Quiet. Religious. But something felt off. Gecht had once worked for another killer. A name Chicago knew well. John Wayne Gacy. What was going on in that van? Police tracked the van. Tracked Gecht. And watched his house. They brought him in. And what he said shocked even the detectives. Gecht didn't deny knowing Beverly. He didn't even flinch. But he said she was lying. The cops didn't buy it. Then came more names. Edward Spritzer. Andrew Kokoralius. Thomas Kokoralius. Gecht's crew. When they brought in Spritzer, he broke. He told them everything. How Gecht led them. How they worshipped Satan. How they called it the ritual of the Ripper. How they believed the more they tortured, the more power they gained. They had done this to at least 18 women. Always at night. Always with the same tools. Always ending with blood. They kept trophies, body parts, clothes, jewelry. In Gecht's attic, police found a small shrine. Candles. Hooks. Blood. News broke across Chicago. Women cried. Families locked their doors. Reporters swarmed the crime scenes. A serial crew, not just one killer, had hunted women for almost a year. And no one had known. Until now. But the horror was far from over. Because Robin Gecht wasn't done talking. And the next story he told was even worse. December 1982, Chicago, Illinois. The city was frozen. Snow fell in sheets, blanketing rooftops and muffling sirens. But inside the police station, things were heating up. Edward Spritzer had started to talk. He sat in a small, windowless room, hands cuffed, eyes darting. His voice shook. Not from guilt, but fear. Fear of one man. Robin Gecht. He said the devil gave him power, Spritzer whispered. And we believed him. The man called Robin. Robin Gecht wasn't what most people imagined when they thought of a monster. He looked like a regular man. Thin. Pale. Wore glasses. Quiet. Polite. He had a wife. 3 kids. A house in Franklin Park, a suburb just outside the city. He ran a small construction business. He even went to church. But behind that normal face was something twisted. Something evil. Years earlier, Gecht had worked for another killer, John Wayne Gacy. Gacy was convicted of killing 33 young men. He buried them in his basement. And when police dug them up, Gecht's name came up, but nothing stuck. Still, it left a question. Did Gacy teach Gecht how to kill? Or, did Gecht inspire Gacy? In 1981, Robin Gecht began gathering followers. First was Edward Spritzer, quiet, gullible, and loyal. Then came Andrew and Thomas Kokoralius, 2 brothers from a struggling family. Both had low IQs. Both looked up to Robin like a god. Together, they became the Chicago Ripper crew. But they didn't just kill for fun. They believed they were doing Satan's work. Spritzer described a place. A dark attic. Candles. Symbols drawn in chalk. A black altar. This is where Robin led his rituals. Women were brought there, drugged, tied down. He called it the chapel. There, they read from a twisted Bible. Said strange prayers. And performed surgeries, with knives, razors, and hooks. They believed removing breasts and drinking blood would give them strength. Spritzer said Robin kept body parts in a box. A box he prayed to. The ritual of the Ripper. Each attack followed a pattern. Step 1. Pick a victim, usually young, alone, often a sex worker. Step 2. Lure her into the red van with money or kindness. Step 3. Inject her with drugs to make her sleep. Step 4. Take her to the attic. Step 5. The ritual. It was always Robin who started. Always Robin with the knife. The others followed orders. Then they would drive the body far away, toss it like garbage. No names. No mercy. No regrets. What made these crimes different was the belief. They weren't just killing. They were worshipping. Robin convinced his crew that Satan demanded blood. That pain was sacred. That every cut, every scream, was holy. And his crew believed him. One victim, a 28-year-old woman named Angel York, survived. She had been stabbed, tortured, and thrown from the van. She lived. Barely. She told police about the red van. About the strange prayers. About the candles. Her voice trembled as she described Robin. He didn't blink, she said. He didn't stop. He just smiled. Police arrested Robin. They searched his house. What they found shocked them. Pornographic magazines with mutilated women. Books on Satanism and ritual sacrifice. Blood stains in the attic. Surgical tools. But Robin wouldn't confess. He smiled. He joked. He blamed the others. "I'm no killer," he said. "Ask them." One by one, the others turned on him. Thomas Kokoralius confessed. So did Andrew. Both described Robin as the leader. The one who made the rules. The one who told them when to kill, how to kill, and why. They were afraid of him. Not just because he was violent, but because they believed he had power. Sometimes, Thomas said, his eyes would go black. How could 4 men, some with families, jobs, even children, do this? Was it brainwashing? Mental illness? Or was it true belief? No one could say. But the crimes continued, until Beverly Washington survived. Her escape broke the chain. Now the city demanded justice. And the crew's secrets were finally coming into the light. But justice wouldn't come easy. Because Robin Gecht, the man who started it all, was about to slip through the cracks. Winter 1983, Chicago, Illinois. The city was tired. Tired of blood. Tired of fear. Every woman who walked alone felt eyes watching her. Every mother warned her daughter. And behind it all, one question whispered through the cold air. How many more? Police had 4 suspects. A red van. A bloody attic. A sick ritual. But what they didn't have yet, was the full truth. The crew said they couldn't remember all the victims. Because there were too many. The police gathered every shred of evidence. They mapped out locations, dates, faces. And slowly, a pattern formed. Here are some of the names they confirmed. Lorraine Borowski, 21 years old. Taken in daylight outside her job. Found weeks later in a shallow grave. Left breast removed. Sandra Delaware, 18. Strangled, stabbed, dumped by the river. Mutilated. Rose Davis, 30. Found in an alley. Same mutilations. Same violence. Shui Mack, 30. Abducted while walking to work. Found tied up and beaten. Ritual marks on her chest. Angel York, 28. Survived. Dragged from a van, bleeding. Identified Spritzer. Beverly Washington, 20. Survived. Found near death. Gave the name Robin. Police believed the real number could be 18 or more. But no one could say for sure. Too many were missing. Too many were gone. The red Dodge van. It became a symbol of terror. The crew had bought it cheap. Painted it red. Removed the license plates. It had no windows in the back. Inside were hooks. Chains. Blankets. Blood. They used it to stalk the streets at night. They looked for women walking alone, often in poor neighborhoods. They offered money. Rides. Kindness. And once the woman was inside, the doors locked. The needles came out. The nightmare began. What happened inside that van? Each survivor said the same thing. It started calm. Then came the needle. Then, blackness. When they woke up, they were tied. In pain. The crew would take turns. Cutting. Laughing. Praying. Sometimes they used knives. Other times, worse. The van was not just a vehicle. It was a mobile torture chamber. The police close in. With the survivors' testimonies and confessions from the Kokoralius brothers and Spritzer, police began piecing it all together. They raided the homes. At Robin Geck's house, they found a black altar in the attic. Stained cloth. Bloodied surgical tools. A red book with strange writings. They also found female body parts hidden in a small wooden box. Geck denied everything. But his crew, they couldn't hold it in. Andrew Kokoralius breaks. Andrew spoke first. He told them about the rituals. About how Robin led them. How he made them chant in Latin. How he said pain was power. He confessed to helping kill Lorraine. And 2 others. Then his brother, Thomas, confirmed it. I didn't want to, Thomas said. But Robin said if we stopped, the devil would take us. They were terrified. Not of jail, but of Robin. Of what he made them do. How many more like Lorraine? Chicago police started looking back. Cold cases. Missing persons. Unsolved murders. And they found some. Victims with the same mutilations. Same areas. Same pattern. But they couldn't prove it. Because the crew couldn't remember names. Just faces. And screams. And too many of those screams had already gone quiet. The public reacts. When the details hit the news, people were horrified. Women stopped going out at night. Citizens demanded better streetlights. Protesters stood outside the courthouse with signs. Monsters in our midst, justice for Lorraine, no more red vans. Reporters called it one of the worst serial cases in U.S. history. It wasn't just the killing. It was the meaning behind it. The ritual. The belief. It made people sick. And afraid. This is a real story. Every face you've heard was real. Every scream happened. Every cut left a scar, not just on bodies, but on a whole city. These women had names. Families. Dreams. And they were taken, by men who believed blood was power. But the trial was coming. Robin Geck would face a courtroom. So would Edward, Andrew, and Thomas. But not all of them would go down the same way. One would try to lie. One would beg for mercy. One would get out. And the leader, the one they all feared, would find a way to dodge death. The city would never forget. And the red van would become legend. Summer 1984, Cook County Courthouse, Illinois. The courtroom was packed. Reporters filled every seat. Cameras waited outside. Families of victims sat in silence, clutching tissues, photographs, each other. On trial, the men behind the Chicago Ripper crew. Robin Geck. Edward Spritzer. Andrew Kokoralius. Thomas Kokoralius. 4 faces. 4 names. 1 nightmare. The trial begins. First came Thomas. He looked small in the courtroom. Just 22 years old. Pale. Nervous. He told everything. He described the attic. The red van. The chanting. The knife. "I didn't want to," he whispered. But Robin said it was the only way to get power. To please him. The room fell silent. One juror started to cry. The testimonies. Over the weeks, the court heard from survivors like Beverly Washington, medical examiners describing brutal injuries, detectives who found the altar and body parts. Photos were shown. Bloody. Graphic. Real. One juror fainted. The judge had to pause twice because of audience sobbing. But the worst was when they played the confession tapes. Spritzer's voice. Andrew's voice. Describing how they took turns. How Robin made them laugh while cutting. People walked out. But some stayed. To hear it all. Robin's defense. Robin Geck did not confess. He wore a suit. Sat still. Spoke clearly. His lawyer said. He is a family man. A business owner. He's never been convicted. These other men, they're just trying to blame someone. Geck smiled. But his crew said otherwise. He told us the devil gave him strength. He said women were made to bleed. He prayed to a box filled with flesh. The jury watched him closely. No emotion. No regret. Edward Spritzer breaks down. Edward cried. He told the jury he was brainwashed. He told me if I left, I'd die. He said the devil would find me. I just followed. But when asked about the victims, he paused. I remember one, he said. She begged. She said she had kids. And we still did it. Gasps filled the courtroom. One woman screamed and had to be carried out. Verdicts are read. The jury took days. The city waited. Finally, the verdicts. Thomas Kokoralius, found guilty. Sentenced to 70 years. Andrew Kokoralius, sentenced to death. Edward Spritzer, death penalty. Robin Gecht, life in prison for rape and mutilation. But, never convicted of murder. People were stunned. He walked out of court not a free man, but not on death row either. He had escaped the harshest sentence. The families of the victims screamed. He started this. He's the devil. He deserves to die. The curse of Gecht. In prison, Robin kept to himself. Rumors said he still read satanic books. Still wrote prayers in blood. He never apologized. Never explained. Never cried. In interviews, he would smirk. He said he didn't remember any women. He said it was all stories made up by broken men. But behind bars, other inmates feared him. Some said lights flickered when he passed. Others claimed he talked to the walls. Whether it was mental illness, or something darker, no one could say. The state reacts. Illinois made changes. Better tracking of missing persons. More patrols in red light areas. Better protection for sex workers. But it came too late for the victims. Too late for Lorraine. For Sandra. For Rose. Too late. A surprise in 2019. Thomas Kokoralius was released. After 35 years behind bars, the state let him go. Public outrage exploded. How can a man who helped in those crimes walk free? But legally, he had served his sentence. He walked out. Quiet. No interviews. No words. But neighbors were warned. His name is now on the sex offender registry. And he lives under constant watch. This is a real story. It happened. Every victim. Every ritual. Every scream. This is not a horror movie. This is not fiction. This is the true story of 4 men, and the evil they followed. But the most chilling part. The one who started it all, never admitted it. Never said sorry. And still lives today, Chicago, years later. The red van is gone. The attic is empty. The headlines have faded. But for the families left behind, the horror never left. Every anniversary brings it back. Every unsolved case feels connected. Every red van still gives people chills. This is the final chapter. The story after the story. The part no one talks about. The families speak. Lorraine Borowski's family never stopped grieving. Her mother kept Lorraine's room just as she left it. Posters on the wall. Her favorite book on the bed. Her perfume still in the air. She was the light in our house, her mother said. And they took that light away. Sandra Delaware's sister stopped talking for months. She went quiet, said her husband. It was like something inside her broke. For Rose Davis's daughter, Mother's Day became a day of tears. No one could move on. Because the wounds were too deep. More cold cases resurface. Over the years, detectives reopened dozens of files. They wondered, could this be another Ripper crew victim? But the men never gave full lists. They claimed not to remember. Some experts say they killed more than 20 women. Others think it could be closer to 30. Many women's bodies were never found. Some were buried deep. Others, lost in the wind. And each case left behind a family still waiting for answers. Edward Spritzer sits on death row. Decades later, Edward sits in a cell. He aged. Hair gray. Eyes sunken. He rarely speaks. He turned down interviews. His lawyers tried to appeal. But the evidence was too strong. The tapes. The testimonies. The survivors who lived to point at him in court. He waits. Andrew Kokoralius was executed. In 1999, the state of Illinois carried out the execution. Andrew Kokoralius was put to death by lethal injection. Outside, protesters gathered. Some for. Some against. Inside, he said his final words, "I'm sorry." But for many, it was too late. Lorraine's brother watched the news from home. He turned off the TV. He said, "It doesn't bring her back." Thomas Kokoralius lives free. After his 2019 release, Thomas moved to a halfway house in Aurora, Illinois. People panicked. "No one warned us," neighbors said. "We have kids. How could they do this?" The police said he had rights. But the people didn't forget. Some spray-painted his building. Others stood outside with signs. He stays inside most days. Afraid. Alone. Haunted. Robin Gecht, the one who started it all. He's still alive. Serving time in Menard Correctional Center. He never admitted guilt. He never broke. Guards say he's polite. Keeps to himself. Spends time reading. But what he reads, is what scares them. Old books. Rituals. Dark writings. He still draws symbols in notebooks. Some inmates avoid him. Others say he whispers at night. A few call him the preacher. The man who believed blood was power. Chicago still remembers. The city moved on, but not completely. In some neighborhoods, mothers still say, "Don't get in any vans." In police training, the Ripper crew case is still studied. A warning of how a group of ordinary men became something else. How fear spreads. How evil hides. And how one man, Robin, pulled them into his shadow. Why this story still matters. Because it could have been stopped sooner. Because the victims were mostly poor women. Because some people didn't believe them until it was too late. Because evil doesn't always wear a monster's face. Sometimes it wears a smile. A wedding ring. A work uniform. Sometimes, it hides in a red van. And sometimes, it walks free. This is a true story. These women lived. They laughed. They loved. And they died, because 4 men followed darkness. It happened in Chicago. It happened in the 1980s. But it could happen again. Anywhere. So tonight, as you walk to your car, as you look over your shoulder, as you hear a van drive by, remember this. Some monsters don't hide in the woods. They hide in plain sight. And their stories should never be forgotten. If this story shook you, if you believe these women deserve to be remembered, subscribe to Unbelievable True Story. Because every week, we uncover the darkest truths hidden in plain sight. And the next story might hit even closer to home.